Hey, good morning, YouTube. Thanks for tuning in to the channel this morning. This is Cal from the Little Man Cave on a Wing and a Prayer. And it's Wednesday. And as I promised you, today I'm going to talk about marriage and what it takes to keep it together. My wife and I have been married 50 years and 7 months. And for those of you who don't know me, maybe have recently subscribed, I am a retired minister and have a master's degree in psychology. And like I said, over 50 years of marriage, and so I think I've learned a little bit of something and that I can share with you today. But what I believe it takes to keep a marriage together, what it took to keep our marriage together. We both got married when we were 19, very young, just kids. Didn't know any better, and we had a lot of problems our first 5 years of marriage. We separated quite a few times. We threatened divorce. We did all that kind of thing, just trying to adjust to each other. It was more of an adjustment for me, I think, than it was for her. But anyway, I want to give you some tips about what I believe it takes to keep a marriage together. One of the things is that you have to genuinely be in love with each other. I mean, not just like each other as partners, but genuinely love each other, care for each other, and want to spend your life with each other. And that's very important. One of the things that we had to learn how to do very quickly is we eliminated the word divorce from our vocabulary. We just refused to anymore talk about divorce. We remembered our vows when we said for better or for worse. And we had to learn to weather the storms and to ride through the storms of marriage. And every marriage has them. You can't threaten divorce every time you have a little spat and disagreement with each other. You can't threaten to run off to mama's house and to leave your wife and your kids just because things aren't going your way. You have to learn to be selfless, to give up some things, to change. And if you haven't watched my video talking about change, I encourage you to go back and to watch that video. But you have to learn to adapt to each other. Both of you are going to be different individuals. Like I said, we were young when we got married. We had to learn to adapt to each other and to overcome some issues that needed to be dealt with. My wife and I come from two different types of backgrounds, as a lot of people do. Her background and her family is very loving, very affectionate, and my family wasn't. And so hugging and saying I love you and all of that was very foreign to me when I got married. And I literally didn't know how to do it. And my wife liked to hear those words, I love you, and she liked that physical affection. And in our early years of marriage, it was very strange to me. And so you have to learn to adapt to each other, learn each other's personalities and traits. And another thing is you have to learn how to genuinely forgive. When you say I'm sorry, and when you do something that requires you to say I'm sorry, it requires you to forgive and forget. When the spouse makes a mistake, you have to learn to forgive and forget. Don't bring it up after every time you have a little disagreement. Don't bring up the past. That's the worst thing you can do. You have to learn to forget it and to put it behind you. Yesterday's gone. You can't do anything about yesterday. You have to live one day at a time in your marriage. You have to find yourself living in a loving, nurturing relationship. You have to nurture each other. You have to learn from each other and grow with each other. You have to let the other person change and adapt to you, which takes a while. And another thing that my wife and I do over the years, anytime you spend long-term time with somebody, it can grow stale. And so my wife and I, we take little trips away from each other every year. I take a bike trip a week to 2 weeks just to get away, refresh my mind, just to be by myself, collect my thoughts, enjoy myself, get away from everybody, and just to recharge my emotional, spiritual, and physical batteries. My wife goes off and takes a little girl trip. Maybe her and my daughter will take a trip. Last year they went to Washington, D.C. together. And maybe they'll take a road trip with some of her cousins or something. But we spend some time away from each other. That might sound strange to you, but everybody needs their space once in a while. And I would encourage you to do that. If things are becoming tense in the home, maybe you want to plan just a little time away from each other. Just a weekend getaway by yourself, just to reflect on who you are and what's going on in the marriage and how you can make changes and what you can do to better it and to be better. Another thing is, slipped my mind here, growing old, but just to, I know what I was going to say. We also have a date night, Friday night or Saturday, maybe not every week, but at least once or twice a month. We have a date night. We still get out. We go someplace together. I think we've got a plan for this coming Friday. We're going to go see a local site, have some time together, maybe just go out to dinner or whatever. But you need that date time. You need that romantic time that you spend just with her and she with you, and you can talk to each other, and the kids are out of the picture, and everything is out of the way. It's just you and her together, and especially when kids come along, you need that. So take her out on a date once in a while and wine and dine her and let her know that she's still the love of your life and the apple of your eye, and that you're still very much in love with her, and that you want to continue to spend the rest of your life with her. And so change for the better for each other. Forgiveness. Show her that you love her. Do little things for her. Not only just say it, but do little things for her. Help around the house. Do those little chores that maybe that she gets tired of doing sometime. Run the vacuum cleaner. Sweep the floors. Mop the floors for her. Do the dishes once in a while. If it's nothing more than load the dishwasher for her, she'll appreciate it. And especially if she's working. We are both retired, but my wife still likes me to do some things like that for her. She still enjoys that. So, especially if you're newlywed, learn to sometimes you have to just be quiet. The Bible says that grievous words stir up anger. And so if you get into a spat or an argument, don't keep coming back and coming back and coming back with something, because all that does is like throwing gasoline on a fire. It just makes it get bigger and bigger and bigger. Learn sometimes just to keep your mouth shut. Just to let things go. Sometimes people just need to blow off steam. And because you're in a marriage relationship, sometimes you're going to be the brunt of that. But learn to take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes people just need to spout off and they'll be over it. Usually my wife, when we get into a little argument or something, 5 minutes later we're over it as if nothing ever happened, and that's the way it should be. And that's helped for both of us. We don't carry a grudge. I used to, a long time ago, in the early stages of our marriage. I could carry a grudge for a long time. But I saw how futile that was and how useless it was to carry a grudge. And so I learned not to do that. You can't carry a grudge and get through the issues of life. But, and if things get really rough, don't be afraid to seek out a life coach or a counselor. My wife and I have done that before in the past, and that has helped. And sometimes to get somebody who can get a clear outside perspective on your marriage and what's going on. So just learn to love and forget and to respect each other. To nurture each other in the place they are in the marriage, and to move on to greater things. And so, like I said, one of the best things we ever did was just to remove that word divorce and separation from our vocabulary. We don't even use it. It's not an option for us. That makes it to where that it's not an easy out, that we have to stick with it and work it out. And that has done wonders for us. And so I hope these little tips have helped you today on Wednesday, Spiritual Insight Day. And I hope you will subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, on every Wednesday we have a new Insight for Life, talking about life issues and that kind of thing, things that will help you out. If you've got something you want to talk about, leave it to me in a comment, and maybe we'll address it on a Wednesday. Be sure and watch our Saturday video of keeping up with my journey on my 1 meal a day program. I'm doing great. I look to be at my goal this weekend and give you a good report. So thanks for tuning in today on this Wednesday. Hope you'll have a great day. Supposed to be blowing in some storms. It's kind of dark outside, and it's going to be Wednesday today, and a lot of rain in the next 4 or 5 days. And so I wanted to get this in and get it posted before the weather turned too bad and gets too rainy and I can't walk out here to my man cave. So I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in today. This is Cal on A Wing and a Prayer, coming to you from the little man cave. Hit that subscribe button and the little bell notification, and you'll be notified every time we post a video, and keep up to date with what's going on. All right, this is Cal from the little man cave. I love you, appreciate you. I'm out of here today.